What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another GGF video, and today we're going to be taking a look at this board here, the ROG HERO X870E BTF. So BTF being Asus's or ROG's back connect motherboards. So I've got the non-BTF Hero over here. We'll take a look at some differences, and I've also got the 5090 over here, which is the ASTRAL BTF. So we'll have a look at that. The main difference is that removable connector on the end of the card. So I'll quickly open this. At first, I didn't think there were going to be any changes, but I was quite surprised with this board that it looks like the PCB is different than, I won't really go through the accessories. I have already done a video on the original X870E HERO, which is this one here. So I've already done a video on this one. So if you want to see most of the gear on that one, you can check out that video. But this one over here, hopefully you don't get too many reflections. These not the screens, but this reflective mirror on these ROG boards is very mirror-like, and you always pick up reflections. And I must admit they do scratch pretty easily. So in saying that, I am going to take this off anyway. If you ever do have to clean these, make sure you use like a LCD cleaning spray and a very soft like microfiber rag or something, just so you don't scratch that. I've even got my fingerprint on there. Let me try and, I'm gonna take all these off quickly. See if I can get that just a little bit cleaner. There we go. Very softly there. Okay, so two boards here, non-BTF. This is the BTF. Let's move the card out of the way so we can have a look at that. Normally in these videos, I normally go over everything like the new ROG Q releases, the Q slide, the Q latch. I'm not going to go over that because I covered it all on the non-BTF here, because I do want to cover the card and some of the other features, and I don't want these videos to go super long. So first off, I will cover things like M.2s, any differences there, PCIe, anything like that, I will cover. So main differences we see here, just let me get those nice and straight. We've dropped a slot here, we got two here, we've only got one full on the BTF, so we dropped a slot. We've also lost the slim SAS, so no slim SAS on the BTF. If I have a look at the back, I'm not sure if that's a limitation to slim SAS if they can't get it on the back. I can't see why not, because they've literally got everything else on the back, so I'm not sure why they would have dropped it. And if we have a look at the back on this one, very similar, and of course it's pretty easy to update the backplate. Don't really have to do any like new board design, but I'm actually surprised there are some fingerprints on that, but I have used this board in a few builds, that's why. So I just want to do a video on some of this content. I do a lot of motherboard unboxings as of recent, just so I can get the content out there before I use the boards in a build, just so these are brand new, and before they go in a build, if I paint them or mod them, anything like that. So straight away, I dropped a slot, no slim SAS. I do like how now this whole plate can be removed like that. Previously you had 1, 2, 3 screws. So that's nice that you can just remove that plate, away you go, and you still have the same primary, which just clips in like that. So we've got the connector there. You might be wondering what that is if you're not familiar with BTF. That is the BTF connector. So what I might do is I might actually take the card out now. I might move this one over to the side like so. This way. I've already taken the outer sleeve off just to make it a little bit easier. I will need this. I've already actually used this card. If you saw my Haven build I just did recently, I did have to use this card, even though that is not a BTF chassis. The good thing is you can now remove that BTF connector, which is right down. I'll see if we can get a close-up shot of that. Connector is right down in here. So at the moment it's not being utilized. There's just a little plastic cap cover over that. And if I go into the accessories, it should be right there. So that's it there. I'll move this stuff out of the way. Does have a little plastic cover just to protect it. So that is the new BTF connector like that. So if I get the board, get this in right, it'll go, obviously you would put it on the card first. So it will go on the card first, and then that's what drives it, and that can provide up to 600 watts of power through the board. You still have to plug your 12 volt high power into the back, but that will allow you to eliminate any cables on the front of the card. It still has the connector here, they've just got a cover, because as I used it in that Haven build, that did not have the BTF, so I removed the BTF connector and I could still plug it into the front board here. I believe in the future BIOS updates and so on that ROG are going to do it so you can use the BTF connector as well as the front facing 12 volt high power. So you're essentially using two to get extra power from the card for better overclocking and so on. But what I might do is I might just quickly see if I can get this on now. Let me remove that fan cable out of the way just so we can see. So that's it there, what it looks like. Hopefully we've got that in focus. This just slots in. Getting my fingers all over those contacts. Slots in like that, and then when the card goes straight in, I probably can't do it now because it's on a flat table. That'll then mate up, and then away you go. You have no cables on the GPU, no cables coming out of the motherboard, and you are good to go. So let's talk a little bit more about this board. VRAM stages stays the same, 18 plus 2 plus 2. Memory is 256. I'm pretty sure when I covered the original, when X870E came out originally, it was 192, but now we have 64 gigabyte DIMM modules. So now we can do 256 up to 8200. There's also the new Nitro Path technology from Asus, which improves the signal integrity, and you get about 400 mega transfers improvement. That's going by their testing. That's not saying you will get exactly that, and so on. So PCIe slots first. Let's move the card out of the way. Not too much to talk about that Astral card. It's pretty much a 5090 with the BTF connector jammed on this sort of butt end of it. So back to the boards. The PCIe layout, as I said, it's a bit different. I covered this one in the previous video. If you want to look at that, you can check out that, how it does all the lane sharing and so on. So this one has a full 16 here, Gen 5, and that is it for the physical by 16 and electrically by 16. And that can support by 16, by 8, by 4, by 4 modes. Then we have a PCIe by 4 slot, which is here. So essentially on the previous one, the non-BTF, you had a physical 16, but it was electrically 8. And then no doubt if you ran 2, they went to 8.8. And then if you ran probably all the M.2s, you would have lost this slot. So now you just have the by 4. I'm just checking to see if there's any sharing for, yes, there is. So if you run the M.2 2, the 16 primary slot will run it by 8. So there is still some sharing on this board. Not as bad as on the previous one because you have lost a few things like the Slim SAS and that whole slot. So just bear in mind that the M.2 2, if you do run that, you will run the by 16 and 8 by mode. So I'd probably just avoid that one altogether. If you're running something less than a 59, it's probably not going to matter on the by 16 slot. But that's just some information to be aware of. Now there's 5 M.2s on this one. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 under here. I'll take this out. It's good now that everything uses the Q release sort of releases on everything, even on that primary one. All of these ones have it as well. This one, this one, this one here, and this one here, and we have this one joined in as well. So for the M.2 layout, we have a Gen 5x4, Gen 5x4, Gen 5x4, and then the M.2 4 and 5, which are these ones here, they are both Gen 4. Now for the sizes, they're all 2280, 2280, 2280, 2280, 2280, 2280, and less. You can't get anything larger. And saying that, I don't think I've seen anyone really populate slots with the larger M.2 sizes. In terms of the where the M.2s are coming from, we've got CPU, CPU, and CPU, and then these two off the chipset. And just be aware that the M.2 2, which is this one here, when this one is enabled, your primary 16 will run at by 8. I'm not sure why they didn't do it so you could like drop this one and still run that at by 16, but that's just how they have done it on this board. For some more features, let's take a look at things like LAN. I am kind of skimming through this because I don't want these videos to go on for too long. Take that off. we have a pretty good feature packed rear IO. Let me just pop this one up. So this one here is the non-BTF and this one here is the BTF. No doubt this is going to be exactly the same. I'm just having a quick look over it now. Yep, exactly the same. So I don't really need to compare those. Get that out of the way so it focuses on this one. So for your LAN, we have a 2.5 and we have a 5.5, 2.5, both Realtek. For the Wi-Fi, once again, we have the Q release adapters, no screwing in, just drop them in, drop them out. That's Wi-Fi 7 320, the more bandwidth one with the 320, which is good. I'd expect on a board like this that it would have that. Then for the rear USB, have two 40 gigabit Type-C. They each do DP, so they do DisplayPort, which is good. And then we have a total of 8 more USB all up. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all Type A, all 10. So 10, 10, 10, 10, all the reds are 10. Then we have 2 more 10s in the type of Type-C, which is pretty good. So that's a total of, I believe, 12 all up, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the remaining 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we got 10 all up, which is pretty good. And then of course you have your clear CMOS and the BIOS. So kind of a nice rear IO there. And then moving on to the front USB. Once again, we have, I believe, a total of 10. Actually, I was looking around the front side, not the back side. So we have 2 USB front 20s. That's actually pretty impressive. I haven't seen too many boards that have 2 front 20s. So they are spread out a little bit. We've got one over here and one over here for the Type-C. Then we have your standard USB 5 gigabit, one there. So that'll give you 2 each. So that's 4. Then we have the 5 and the 6 for the Type-C. And then we have another 2 each. That's another 4. So we have a total of 10 USB on the front as well. And these are your dual USBs that are there for anything like fan hubs or fans that need RGB and controls and so on. Let's just take another little look around the back while we are here to see everything that is going on here. Obviously 12 volt high power for your GPU. So when you plug your GPU in the front, you need to plug your 12 volt high power into that. Then that'll bring the power to the front and into that card. And then we have fan headers, dual 8-pin EPS up there. And then we just have more fan headers, RGB at the back on the bottom there. And then we just have 4 SATA. Interesting, they split the SATA, which I think is, I don't know, doesn't really matter if it's up here or down there because it is all BTF. You don't really have to worry about, well, if you got 2 SATA down the bottom here, 2 SATA on the side, it's going to look funny on the front. But being on the back, you're not going to see it. It doesn't really matter where it's placed as long as it fits in a case. But I haven't had any issues with any of the BTF boards not fitting in any cases that I've reviewed or checked out. So I think that's pretty much it. Just want to check if they do add any VRM cooling on that. Yes, there is a thermal pad there, thermal pad on there. So we do have some VRM cooling. But yeah, let me know what you think of this board. Let me know what you think of the sort of the refresh design. I do have my fingerprints all over that mirror, which is a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. Other things that I do like on these BTF boards. So you notice on, let's see if I can get that light not reflecting. So non-BTF, we have like your traditional start, reset, and all of that. You've got your 2-digit BIOS postcode there. On the BTFs, they have this nice cover. It is plastic though. I do think on the extremes, when they have this cover, I think that is metal, but on these ones it is plastic. But you do have the nice start, and your flex key is default to reset, and it just looks very clean, and it doesn't even really look like a button. It's just a little perforated little bit of plastic there, and then you push it down and that's just a button. And then you have the post debug LED sort of built into this plastic little cover, which is nice. Might just put this board over here, and then we can just have a little bit more of a look on this GPU. So my thoughts on these BTF GPUs, I know they are a little bit more expensive. I think they're a couple $100 more for the BTF tech. It's a shame that it is that. I understand that it's probably taken a bit to engineer these type of cards. They're not just doing what some other brands are doing, and what they're doing is moving the 12 volt high power from the front edge that you see to somewhere on the butt end of the card, and then you just run your cable from sort of the back into the bottom, and then you put a cover over it. So I would assume that is the more cheaper, affordable solution. Whereas what ROG or Asus have done, they've actually sort of redesigned the whole PCB on this card to give you this connector that goes straight onto the bottom. Let's see if I can get this out now. Straight onto the bottom of the card. And then obviously you have the purpose on running this in a system with BTF or without. So I also think there's a few benefits, things like resale. If you have a previous BTF card that has the physical end like this that's built into the card, no connection on the front edge, resale value, you can only sell this card pretty much to use in a board like this one that has the BTF. So you're very, very limited. Maybe in a couple of years time when there's a lot more boards out, it wouldn't matter. But I think for now, only having a select few boards, having this card work in both, I think is the right direction. Want to know your thoughts on that and your thoughts on future cards. Should pretty much every future card, I would say next generation, say the 6000 series from NVIDIA, the 60 series, should all have this built-in removable BTF connector, because that would eliminate two different versions of cards. You don't need a BTF card, then a non-BTF card. It'll just be like an ROG 6090 Astral. That'll be it. It'll just work with BTF and then it'll work in normal boards. Although it's probably going to be a little bit more expensive than other cards because it does have that tech. But apart from that, the card is exactly the same. Everything else performs the same, and it is identical to its non-BTF counterpart. So for the price on the BTF 5090 Astral, it's actually not as bad as I thought. I was actually on got to be careful. I was looking at a product on Newegg. Wasn't sold for Newegg, but it was 4,200. So you have to be careful that that's not an official price on this card. So I actually went to the Asus shop. So the Astral 5090 BTF is 3,499, so 3,500. And then if I go and look at the non-BTF, it's 3,200. So $300 for the extra BTF tech. I want to know what your thoughts. Is that worth it? Hopefully, the more of these products that come to market, the more affordable they will be in the future. And then when we move over to the price of the BTF Hero, from what I could see, we're looking at a launch price on when this board came out of $799 for the BTF Hero. And then for the non-BTF Hero, I can only compare it to when this came out. I guess this has been out for, geez, I would say probably nearly a year now. The launch price of the non-BTF Hero was $699, so $100 difference for this. I'm not sure what the price of this one here is at the moment, but I think it's only fair to compare it to what it launched at and to what this one is launching at. So you got the $100 difference. But anyway, I think that's it on this video. I do have a build coming up where I will use this in an upcoming Corsair build, so stay tuned for that. It should look really good. But anyway, like always, I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank ROG for sending out this gear, and we'll see you in the next one.